6 months after the Battle of New Haven, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of a ship that should not exist. The Unbroken Alliance was a joint construction, built by human engineers and Vralkan warriors working together. It combined human technology with Vralkan combat design, creating something neither species could have built alone. It was also the first ship in history to have a mixed crew. 50 humans and 50 Vralkan living and working together. Some days it went smoothly. Other days it was a disaster. But they were making it work, one day at a time. Jake wore a uniform that combined elements of both cultures. Human-style pants and boots, but Vralkan armor on his torso and shoulders. On his chest was a new insignia, one designed specifically for the Alliance. 2 hands clasped together, one human, one Vralkan, representing cooperation between warriors. He was the human liaison officer, which was a fancy way of saying he spent all day solving problems between 2 species that barely understood each other. Some problems were practical, like adjusting ship temperature, because humans liked it warmer than Vralkan. Some were cultural, like explaining to Vralkan warriors that humans did not settle every argument with combat. But it was good work. Important work, and Jake found he was good at it. Jathira was the ship's commander, appointed by both the Vralkan clans and the United Terran Fleet. She ran the ship with the same discipline she brought to everything else. Firm but fair, demanding but respectful. The crew respected her, both species even when they did not fully understand her. She and Jake had settled into an easy partnership. They challenged each other constantly, arguing about tactics and philosophy and everything in between. But there was deep respect there, forged in battle and strengthened through shared purpose. "Morrison, we have a situation," Jathira said, interrupting his thoughts. They were in the briefing room with several human and Vralkan officers. Jake looked at the display screen. It showed a distress signal from a mining colony in the outer rim. The colony was mixed population, both human and Vralkan families working together. It was one of the new settlements established after the Alliance, meant to show cooperation between species. "Pirates," Jake said, reading the tactical data. "Looks like the Red Fang clan." The Red Fang were Vralkan outcasts, warriors who rejected the new alliance and went rogue. They attacked shipping lanes and settlements, trying to prove that cooperation with humans was weakness. "They have 3 ships and at least 100 warriors," Jathira added. "The colony has minimal defenses. They will be overrun in hours." "How long to get there?" Jake asked. 4 hours at maximum speed. Then we go. Now." One of the human officers, Lieutenant Commander Kate Hayes, spoke up. "Sir, we should call for backup. 3 ships and we do not know what else. We could be flying into a trap." "If we wait for backup, those people die," Jake replied. "We are the closest ship. This is exactly what we were created for, protecting those who cannot protect themselves." Korval, who now served as the ship's combat instructor, growled his agreement. "The Red Fang are cowards and outcasts. They prey on civilians because they cannot face true warriors. We will remind them of their shame." Jathira looked at Jake, a silent question in her eyes. He nodded. She had the final authority, but she valued his input. "All hands, battle stations," Jathira ordered. "We leave in 10 minutes. Morrison, coordinate our approach. Korval, prepare boarding teams. Hayes, get our long-range weapons ready. We hit them hard and fast." The trip took 4 hours, and Jake used every minute to prepare. He studied the colony layout, planned approach vectors, identified weaknesses in the Red Fang ship designs. This was what he was good at now, taking his combat experience and applying it strategically. When they arrived, the situation was worse than expected. The Red Fang had already landed warriors on the colony surface and were fighting the defenders. Civilian families, human and Vralkan children, were hiding in shelters while the battle raged above them. "They are executing civilians," Kate reported, her voice tight with anger. "Men, women, and children. Both species. They are making an example." Jake felt old rage stirring, the kind that used to drive him toward death. But he controlled it now, channeled it into focus. These pirates were like the Krexith who killed his family, monsters who targeted the innocent. But unlike 5 years ago, Jake was not alone anymore. He had a ship, a crew, and allies who shared his purpose. "Jathira, I want to lead the ground team," Jake said. "Agreed. Korval, you will go with him. Take 20 warriors, mixed human and Vralkan. Show these outcasts what true cooperation looks like." The boarding team assembled in the hangar bay. 10 humans in combat armor, 10 Vralcon warriors ready for battle. They had trained together for months, learning each other's strengths and covering each other's weaknesses. Jake addressed them before they deployed. Everyone in that colony is someone's family, someone's parent or child or friend. The Red Fang chose to attack them because they think cooperation makes us weak. Let us show them how wrong they are. Humans and Vralcon fighting together. We are stronger united than we ever were apart. They deployed in 3 dropships, hitting the colony from different angles. Jake's team landed near the main shelter where most civilians were hiding. The Red Fang warriors were trying to break through the doors. The fight was brutal but short. The Alliance team fought with coordination the pirates could not match. Humans provided covering fire while Vralcon charged into close combat. When Vralcon were surrounded, humans used grenades and tactical support to break the enemy formation. They moved like one unit despite being 2 species. The Red Fang outcasts were tough and experienced, but they fought alone. Each warrior for themselves, no coordination, no trust. They fell one by one to an enemy that fought as a unit. Jake found himself facing the Red Fang leader, a scarred Vralcon named Draxel. The outcast was huge, even by Vralcon standards, and carried 2 massive blades. "You are a traitor to your kind, human," Draxel growled. "The Vralcon should rule, not cooperate with weak prey species." Jake raised his rifle but did not fire. Humans are not prey, and strength is not about ruling others. It is about protecting them. "Something you forgot," Draxel charged, his blade swinging. Jake dodged, using the techniques Korval taught him. He was faster than the big warrior, more agile. He fired precise shots at weak points in the armor, targeting joints and exposed areas. But Draxel was experienced and strong. He caught Jake with a backhand blow that sent him flying into a wall. Jake's vision blurred, his ribs screaming in pain. The outcast leader raised his blade for a killing strike. Then Korval was there, blocking the blow with his own weapon. "You will not touch him, outcast. He has more honor in one finger than you have in your entire body." The 2 Vralcon clashed, blade against blade. Jake struggled to his feet and joined the fight, firing at Draxel from the side. Together, human and Vralcon, they overwhelmed the outcast leader. Draxel fell, defeated but alive. "Kill me," he growled. "I will not beg for mercy from traitors." Jathira arrived, having led another team to secure the colony. She looked down at Draxel with contempt. "Death would be too easy. You will face trial for your crimes, both human and Vralcon justice. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who prey on the innocent." The battle was over. The colony was saved. Some civilians had died, both human and Vralcon, but most were saved. Families came out of the shelters, parents holding children, warriors protecting civilians, both species together. An old Vralcon elder approached Jake and Jathira. He had lost his mate in the attack, but his children survived. "Thank you," he said simply. "You are what we hoped the Alliance would be. True warriors who protect, not divide." Jake felt something swell in his chest. Pride, but also satisfaction. This was what he fought for now. Moments like this, where his actions meant someone got to see their family again. Back on the unbroken Alliance, the crew celebrated their victory. Humans and Vralcon together, sharing stories of the battle. Cultural barriers were still there, but they were getting smaller every day. Jake found Jathira on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. He joined her in comfortable silence. "Do you still think about death?" she asked quietly. Jake considered the question. "Sometimes. The grief never really goes away, but it is different now. I do not seek death anymore. I am actually afraid of dying now, because there is too much left to do. Too many people who need protecting. Too many bridges left to build. That is good. Fear of death keeps warriors sharp." She paused. "You have come far, Jake Morrison. From a broken human seeking his end to a leader who inspires others. Your family would be proud. I hope so. I think about them every day. But now when I think of them, I do not just remember how they died. I remember how they lived. My wife believed in bringing people together. My daughters believed everyone deserved kindness. I am trying to honor that." Jathira's mandibles clicked softly. "You honor them well. And you honor our rivalry. You have made me a better warrior and leader. Right back at you, Commander. I would probably be dead a dozen times over without your guidance." "More than a dozen," she said with her version of a smile. "I stopped counting after 20. They stood together watching the stars, two warriors from different worlds who had found common ground. The boarding pod was small, cramped, and not designed for humans. Jake squeezed into the Vralkan assault craft along with 4 other warriors, including Korval. The training master had insisted on joining the mission, claiming someone needed to make sure the human did not embarrass their clan. But Jake suspected the real reason was respect. 3 months ago, Korval saw him as weak and worthless. Now, after countless training sessions and this coordinated battle, the massive warrior saw him as something else, maybe not quite equal, but no longer beneath notice. "Remember your training," Korval said as they approached the Krexith command ship. "The bugs fight in groups. They will try to overwhelm you with numbers. Do not let them surround you. Keep moving, stay aware, and trust your instincts." Jake checked his weapons one more time. A plasma rifle, 2 sidearms, 4 grenades, and a vibro blade he had been practicing with. Not much against a ship full of Krexith, but it would have to be enough. The Bloodfang and 2 other Vralkan ships opened fire on the command vessel, punching a hole in its organic hull. The boarding pod shot forward, riding the wave of destruction straight into the enemy ship. Impact was violent. The pod tore through the bio-armor and crashed into an interior chamber. The door exploded open and Jake rushed out with the Vralkan warriors. The Krexith were waiting. The insect creatures stood 6 feet tall on 4 legs with 2 upper limbs ending in razor-sharp claws. Their heads were all mandibles and compound eyes. They screeched and charged as one mass, a wave of chittering death. Jake opened fire, his plasma rifle burning through the first rank of Krexith. Beside him, Korval roared and swung his massive blade, cutting down 3 bugs with one sweep. The other warriors formed a defensive circle, protecting each other's backs, but the Krexith just kept coming. For every one they killed, 2 more appeared. The corridor was filling with bodies, both dead Krexith and the acidic blood that burned through everything it touched. "We need to move," Jake shouted. "The command center should be deeper in the ship toward the core." "Lead the way, human," Korval growled, smashing another Krexith. "We will cover you," Jake ran, using his smaller size to slip through gaps in the chaos. The Vralkan followed, their massive forms creating a wall of armor and fury behind him. The inside of the Krexith ship was like a nightmare, all organic walls that pulsed and breathed, corridors that twisted in impossible directions, and the constant screeching of the bugs. They fought through chamber after chamber. One of the Vralkan warriors went down, overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Then another. Jake's armor was covered in acidic burns and his rifle was running low on charge, but they were getting closer. He could feel it. Finally, they burst into a massive chamber. The command center. The walls were covered in neural tissue, pulsing with bioluminescent light. In the center was the hive mind, a massive creature that was more brain than body, connected to the ship by thousands of organic cables, and it was protected by at least 100 Krexith warriors. "This is going to be difficult," Korval said, with what might have been satisfaction. "The crazy warrior actually sounded happy about this, you think?" Jake replied, loading his last power cell into his rifle. The Krexith charged. There was no strategy, no tactics, just overwhelming violence. Jake and the remaining Vralkan fought back to back, a tiny island of resistance in a sea of claws and teeth. Jake's training took over. He did not think, just moved. Duck under a claw swipe, shoot the bug on the left, roll to avoid acid spray, stab with the vibroblade. Keep moving, always moving, because standing still meant death. Korval was a force of nature beside him, roaring and killing with brutal efficiency. But even he was starting to tire. They all were. There were just too many. Then Jake saw his chance. The hive mind had a weakness. All those neural connections made it powerful, but they also made it vulnerable. If he could sever enough of them, the creature would lose control of its swarm. "Korval, I need 30 seconds at that brain thing," Jake shouted over the chaos. "You will have it or I will die trying," the warrior roared back. Korval and the last Vralkan warrior charged into the massive Krexith, drawing their attention. It was a suicide move designed to give Jake a few precious seconds. The Vralkan way of fighting, sacrifice for the mission. Jake ran. He dodged, weaved, and jumped over Krexith bodies. His legs burned, his lungs screamed for air, but he did not stop. He reached the hive mind and started cutting neural cables with his vibroblade while throwing grenades at its base. The hive mind screeched, a sound that made Jake's ears bleed. The Krexith warriors started to convulse and lose coordination. It was working, but he needed more time. Behind him, Corval went down under a pile of Krexith. Jake wanted to help him, but he had to finish this. 2 million lives depended on it. He cut faster, planted his last grenade directly on the hive mind's core, and set the timer for 10 seconds. Then he ran. The explosion was massive. The hive mind died, its death scream echoing through the ship. The Krexith warriors collapsed, their connection to the central intelligence severed. The ship itself started to die, its systems failing as the brain that controlled everything stopped functioning. Jake found Corval buried under dead Krexith. The massive warrior was badly hurt but still breathing. "Did you do it?" he growled. "Yeah, ship is dying. We need to get out now." "Then stop talking and carry me, you small annoying human." Jake laughed despite everything and helped Corval to his feet. They limped back through corridors that were collapsing around them, stepping over dead Krexith and falling debris. The other warriors were dead. They had given their lives to buy Jake time. They reached the boarding pod just as the ship's main reactor started to fail. Jake threw Corval inside and jumped in after him, sealing the door. The pod launched, barely escaping before the command ship exploded in a brilliant green flash. Outside, the battle was turning. With the command ship destroyed, the Krexith fleet lost coordination. They started fighting each other, confused and directionless. The combined human and Vralcon fleet pressed the advantage, destroying the disorganized enemy ships one by one. By the time Jake's pod was recovered by the Bloodfang, the battle was over. The Krexith were defeated. New Haven was saved. Jake helped Corval to the medical bay, then collapsed himself. He had burns, cuts, broken ribs again, and was pretty sure he had a concussion, but he was alive. More importantly, 2 million people were alive because of what they did today. Jathira found him in the medical bay an hour later. She looked at his injuries and then at Corval being treated across the room. Her mandibles clicked softly. "You survived. Good. I would have been very angry if you died after I spent 3 months training you." Jake smiled tiredly. "Would not want to make you angry, Commander. Corval tells me you saved his life. He is not happy about it. He thinks a human saving a Vralcon warrior is embarrassing. Tell him he can repay me by teaching me more of those blade techniques." Jathira's eyes glowed with something like pride. "You have changed, Jake Morrison. You are not the death-seeking warrior I found on that station anymore." Jake thought about that. She was right. Somewhere in the last 3 months, somewhere between the training and the conversations and the battle, he had found something. Not happiness, that might be too much to ask. But purpose, direction, a reason to keep going. "I had a good teacher," he said quietly. "You had several, but you did the hard work yourself." She paused. "Captain Grant wants to speak with you. She has questions about what happened to you and why you are working with us." "What should I tell her?" "The truth. That you found warriors who saw your value and helped you remember yours." Jathira turned to leave, then looked back. "The human fleet and my fleet are discussing an alliance. Something that has never happened before. They are asking you to be the liaison, the bridge between our peoples. Will you accept?" Jake did not hesitate. "Yes." "Good, because I already told them you would. Rest now, rival. Tomorrow we begin building something new." After she left, Jake lay back and stared at the ceiling. He thought about his family, about the 5 years he spent trying to die. They would have hated seeing him like that. His wife always said life was precious, even when it was hard. His daughters were too young to understand death, but they knew their dad was supposed to protect people, to help people. For 5 years, he had failed them by trying to throw away what they would have wanted him to cherish, but maybe he could still honor them by living the kind of life they would have been proud of. Tomorrow, he would start building bridges between species. He would train others to fight with honor and purpose. He would make sure fewer families experienced what he experienced. Today, he had fought to protect 2 million lives. That was a start. That was something worth living for. The nightmares would probably still come. The grief would not just disappear. But now he had a reason to face them instead of running toward death to escape them. Jathira was right. He was not the same person who stepped onto that mining station seeking his end. He was someone new, forged in battle and tempered by purpose. And for the first time in 5 years, Jake Morrison was okay with being alive. 3 months passed aboard the Bloodfang, and Jake Morrison slowly became a different person. Not all at once, but in small ways he barely noticed at first. He trained every day with the Vralcon warriors. They did not go easy on him because he was human. If anything, they pushed him harder, expecting him to fail and quit. But Jake was stubborn. Every time they knocked him down, he got back up. Every time they told him he was too weak, too slow, too small, he just worked harder. The Vralkan respected strength, but they respected determination more. After the first month, they stopped seeing him as a weak human and started seeing him as someone trying to become a warrior. It was not the same as being one, but it was a start. Korval remained skeptical but fair. He taught Jake how to fight larger opponents, how to use size and strength against itself. "You will never be as strong as us," Korval said during one session. "So do not try. Be faster, be smarter. Make us chase you, tire us out, then strike where we are weak." It was the same kind of tactics Jake had used on the mining station, but refined and improved. The Vralkan had been fighting for thousands of years. They knew every trick, every technique. Jake absorbed it all like a sponge. But the real changes came from his conversations with Jathira. She visited him almost every evening, and they would talk for hours. Sometimes about combat and strategy, sometimes about philosophy and purpose, sometimes just about life. Jake learned that the Vralkan were not the mindless monsters humans thought they were. They had art, poetry, music. They valued honor not because they were savage, but because they believed honor was what separated civilization from chaos. Every Vralkan child was taught that strength without honor was just violence, and violence without purpose was just destruction. "Humans think we love war," Jathira said one night. "But that is not true. We love the challenge of war, the testing of ourselves against worthy opponents. War without honor, war for greed or cruelty that is shameful to us." "Then why do you keep fighting?" Jake asked. "Why not just have peace?" "Because the universe is not peaceful. There are species like the Krexith who only understand violence. There are pirates and slavers who prey on the weak. If honorable warriors do not stand against them, who will?" She looked at Jake. "That is why I was angry when I saw you seeking death. The galaxy needs warriors who fight for something greater than themselves. Everyone who wastes their life is one less defender for those who cannot defend themselves." Her words stayed with Jake. He started to understand what she meant. His family had died because he was not there to protect them. But throwing his life away did not honor them. It just meant more families would lose their protectors. If he had died on that mining station, who would have been there for the next colony the Krexith attacked? One day, Jake asked Jathira a question that had been bothering him. "Why did you really spare me? The rival bond thing, was that just an excuse?" Jathira's mandibles clicked in her version of a smile. "Yes and no. The bond is real and you earned it with your skill. But I also saw myself in you. I remembered what it was like to want death, to think it was easier than living. Someone helped me find my way back then. I thought perhaps I could help you." "Who helped you?" "My clan leader, Elder Vrakthar. He was old even 30 years ago. A warrior who had lived through countless battles. When I returned from my quest for death still alive, he made me his personal student. He taught me that grief is not weakness, but how we handle grief defines our strength." "Is he still alive?" Jathira shook her head slowly. "He died 10 years ago in battle, defending our clan's settlement from raiders. He was over 200 years old and could barely hold a weapon, but he stood at the gates anyway. When we found him, he was surrounded by dead enemies. He died the way he lived, protecting others." "That is a good death," Jake said quietly. "Yes, and when my time comes, I hope for the same. Not death for its own sake, but death with meaning." She looked at him intently. "What kind of death do you want, Jake Morrison?" Before Jake could answer, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Jathira was on her feet instantly, her hand going to her weapon. Jake jumped up too, his training kicking in automatically. A warrior burst into the room and spoke rapidly in the Vralkan language. Jathira's expression darkened. She turned to Jake. "Get to the armory and suit up. We have a situation." "What kind of situation?" "The kind that kills everyone if we do not act fast." Jake ran to the armory with Jathira. The other warriors were already there, grabbing weapons and checking their armor. The ship was moving, engines roaring as they accelerated towards something. Korval was barking orders. When he saw Jake, he tossed him a plasma rifle and a combat suit modified for human size. "We monitored a distress call from a human colony world called New Haven. The Krexith have come in force. 50 warships. Your people are asking for help." Jake's blood went cold. The Krexith. The same species that killed his family. 50 warships meant hundreds of thousands of the insect creatures. A colony world would not stand a chance. We are going to help them? Jake asked, surprised. Jathira was already in her armor, checking her weapons. The Krexith are abominations. They have no honor. They consume everything in their path. Today they attack humans. Tomorrow they will attack us. Better to stop them now. Your human ship, the Horizon, is already engaging, Korval added. They will be destroyed without support. Jathira has called 5 more Vralkan ships to join us. Jake felt something he had not felt in years. Not rage or despair, but determination. Those people on New Haven were just like his family had been. Civilians who did not ask for war but were about to die anyway. And he could actually do something about it. What do you need me to do? He asked. Jathira handed him a communication device. Your people and my people do not coordinate well in battle. We fight differently, think differently. But you know both ways now. You will be our bridge, helping both sides work together. Can we win? We will find out. Jathira's eyes glowed bright. Get to the command center. This is your chance to fight for something instead of against yourself. The next few hours were chaos. Jake found himself on the Bloodfang's bridge watching sensor screens show the battle developing. New Haven was a small colony, only 2 million people, but it was their home. The Krexith bioships were already in orbit, launching drop pods full of warriors to the surface. The UTS Horizon was fighting hard but taking heavy damage. Captain Grant was doing everything she could. But one human warship against 50 Krexith vessels was not a fair fight. Then the Vralkan ships arrived. 6 Vralkan warships, including the Bloodfang, dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately opened fire. Their weapons were different from human ones, more brutal and direct. Plasma cannons that melted through Krexith bioarmor, kinetic harpoons that ripped ships apart. The Krexith turned to face this new threat, and that gave the Horizon a moment to breathe. Captain Grant's face appeared on the communication screen, shocked. Vralkan ships, identify yourselves. Are you hostile or allied? Jathira stepped into view of the camera. Many humans had never seen a Vralkan in person. Grant's eyes widened, but she kept her composure. I am Commander Jathira of the Bloodfang. We are here to fight the Krexith. If you wish to survive, you will coordinate with us. Grant looked like she wanted to ask 100 questions, but there was no time. Understood. We will follow your lead. No, Jathira said. We will follow someone who understands both our ways. She gestured to Jake. Jake stepped forward, still wearing Vralkan armor and carrying their weapons. Captain Grant recognized him instantly. Morrison? You are alive? We thought you were dead. Long story, Captain. Right now we need to work together or everyone on that planet dies. Jake pulled up tactical displays. The Krexith fight in swarm patterns. They overwhelm through numbers. Vralkan tactics focus on breaking enemy formations with direct assault. Human tactics use long-range coordination and support. If we combine them, we have a chance. For the next several hours, Jake coordinated the battle. He had human ships focus on long-range fire support, while Vralkan ships charged into close combat, where their superior weapons and armor gave them the advantage. He identified weak points in the Krexith formation and directed combined strikes. It worked. Slowly, the Krexith fleet began to break apart, but the cost was high. The Horizon was barely functioning. 2 Vralkan ships were destroyed. Thousands of Krexith creatures were dead, but they just kept coming. Then Jake noticed something on the sensors. One Krexith ship was bigger than the others, and it was hanging back, coordinating the swarm. That was the command ship. Kill it, and the Krexith would lose coordination. Jathira, I have an idea, but it is risky, Jake said. Risky is good, she replied. What do you need? Get me close to that command ship. I will board it and plant explosives on their central nervous system. When it dies, the swarm loses direction, Korval growled. That is suicide. You will never make it out alive. Jake smiled, and it was not the death-seeking smile from before. It was the smile of someone who had found purpose. Then it is good I am stubborn. Besides, I have the best teachers. Time to see if I learned anything. Jathira studied him for a long moment, then her mandibles clicked. You have learned much, rival. Commander Jathira had killed over 300 warriors in single combat. Her clan called her the Crimson Eclipse because when she entered battle, it was like watching the end of all things. Inevitable, unstoppable, final. She had come to this abandoned mining station hunting members of the Korvash clan who had dishonored themselves by attacking civilian transports. The Vralkon had rules about combat. There was honor in fighting warriors, but killing the weak and defenseless was shameful. The Korvash had forgotten this, so Jathira was sent to remind them. She had not expected to find humans. When the small human shuttle approached, Jathira's warriors wanted to destroy it immediately. But she was curious. Humans rarely came to this sector, and never to this station. She ordered her warriors to wait and see what these humans wanted. When they docked, she ordered an ambush, not to kill but to test. She wanted to see how humans fought when cornered. Most species ran when faced with Vralkon warriors. The smart ones surrendered immediately. These humans did neither. They fought hard and died bravely, but they fought like people who expected to lose. All except one. The last human did something no one expected. He charged. He actually charged at warriors twice his size, armed with weapons that could cut him in half. Jathira watched with interest as this small human used the station against her warriors. He was clever, using the environment like a weapon. He collapsed passages, vented rooms, set traps. 2 of her warriors died before they realized they were being hunted instead of hunting. Jathira decided she wanted this one for herself. She waited in the cargo bay, while her warriors drove the human toward her. When he arrived, exhausted and injured, she studied him. He was small like all humans, but his eyes told a story. They were empty eyes, dead eyes. This was not a warrior fighting for his life. This was someone seeking death and hoping to find it in battle. She had seen eyes like that before in the mirror many years ago. When she asked why he fought without fear, his answer confirmed her suspicion. He had nothing left to fear. That meant he had nothing left to lose. Such warriors were dangerous not because they were skilled, but because they were unpredictable. A warrior with nothing to lose would take risks that could win impossible battles or doom everyone around them. But skill and training still showed through desperation. As they fought, Jathira realized this human was very good. He adapted quickly, used every advantage, and refused to give up even when defeat was certain. He reminded her of someone. He reminded her of herself decades ago when she lost everything and turned her grief into a blade. The fight lasted hours. The human used tactics Jathira had never seen before. His weapons were weak compared to Vralkon arms, but he used them creatively. He used the cargo bay's machinery against her, trying to crush her or trap her. He used light and sound to disorient her. He even tried to electrocute her by damaging power conduits. It was the most fun she had in years. Eventually, the human's body gave out. He collapsed, unable to continue. Jathira stood over him with her blade ready. This was the moment. He had fought well and earned an honorable death. She would make it quick and painless. But then she looked into his eyes again and saw something that made her pause. He was smiling. He was happy to die here. He wanted this. That made her angry. The human had skill and courage, even if his courage came from the wrong place. To waste such potential on a meaningless death was offensive to everything Jathira believed. Warriors should die in battle, yes, but they should die protecting something, achieving something. This human was throwing his life away for nothing. She made a decision that shocked her own warriors. She invoked an ancient tradition called the rival bond. When a Vralkon warrior found an opponent who pushed them to grow stronger, they could claim that opponent as a permanent rival. It was a sacred bond, meant to ensure both warriors would continue to challenge each other and become better through competition. Her second-in-command, Korval, protested loudly. "He is human, he is weak. This dishonors our tradition." Jathira turned her glowing eyes on Korval. "He killed 2 of our warriors and fought me to exhaustion. If he is weak, what does that make us? I have claimed him. Anyone who disagrees can challenge me for leadership." No one challenged. No one was that stupid. They took the human aboard their ship, the Bloodfang. Jathira personally carried him to the medical bay. Vralkon medical technology was advanced, designed to heal severe battle damage quickly. The human's injuries were treated, his broken bones mended, his wounds sealed. He would live. When he woke up 3 days later, he looked confused and angry. Jathira was sitting in his room waiting. "Why am I alive?" he asked. His first words were not "where am I" or "who are you?" Just "why am I alive?" "Because I decided you should be," Jathira replied simply. "I did not ask for your mercy. I did not give you mercy. I gave you purpose." She leaned forward. "You are now bound to me as rival. You will train with my warriors. You will learn our ways, and you will fight beside us when we call upon you." Jake tried to sit up, but his body was still weak. What if I refuse? Then I will kill you now and be disappointed that I was wrong about you. Jathira stood. But I do not think you will refuse. You seek death, human. But what you really seek is a reason to live. Perhaps you will find it here. Over the following weeks, Jake's life became very strange. He was a prisoner, but not really. He had his own quarters on the ship, small but clean. He could move around freely, though guards followed him everywhere. He was given food, training equipment, and access to the ship's library. Jathira visited him often. At first, Jake refused to talk to her. He sat in silence, waiting for her to give up and kill him. But she was patient. She would sit with him for hours, sometimes talking, sometimes just being present. She told him about Viralkan culture, about their history, about their belief that combat was the purest form of truth. We fight to understand ourselves and others, she explained one day. In battle, all lies fall away. You cannot pretend to be brave when facing death. You cannot hide weakness when your life depends on strength. Combat reveals who you truly are. Then I am nothing, Jake said bitterly. That is what you saw when we fought, nothing. Jathira's mandibles clicked. I saw a warrior who had forgotten why he fights. But the skill was still there. The instinct was still there. You have just buried it under grief and anger. You do not know anything about me. I know you lost someone. I know that loss broke something inside you. I know you blame yourself for surviving. Jathira's voice became softer, which was strange for someone with such a deep, rough voice. I know because I was the same. That made Jake look at her. Really look at her. He saw the scars, not just on her armor, but on her scales. He saw the way she carried herself like someone who had fought too many battles and won them all at too high a cost. What happened to you? He asked. Jathira was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. 30 years ago, I had a mate. His name was Korash. We had 2 younglings, barely old enough to train. There was a war between clans, a stupid war over territory and resources. I was away leading a raid when the Skullbreaker clan attacked our settlement. They killed everyone. My mate, my children, my parents. All gone. Jake felt something twist in his chest. The same story, different species. What did you do? At first, I wanted to die like you do. I took every dangerous mission. I challenged stronger warriors, hoping one would finally defeat me. But I kept winning, kept surviving. She looked at Jake with those amber eyes. Then my clan leader said something that changed everything. He said I was dishonoring my dead by wasting the life they would want me to live. My mate died protecting our children. My children died because I was not there. They would not want me to throw away my life. They would want me to make their deaths mean something. How? Jake's voice was rough. How do you make it mean something? I became strong enough that no one could do to others what was done to me. I protected my clan. I trained young warriors. I hunted those who preyed on the weak. Every battle I won, every life I saved, it was for them. Not revenge, purpose. Jathira stood up. You can do the same, human. You can honor your dead by living well, not dying badly. Jake wanted to argue, to tell her it was different, to push back against her words. But they hit too close to truth. He had been running from pain for 5 years, pretending that seeking death was the same as being brave. But it was not. It was just cowardice wearing a different mask. I do not know if I can, he admitted quietly. You do not have to know. You just have to try. Jathira walked to the door. Tomorrow you train with my warriors. If you survive that, maybe you will start to understand. The next morning, Jake found himself in the training hall with a dozen Viralkan warriors. They looked at him with curiosity and skepticism. A human training with them. Most had never even seen a human in person before. Korval was the training master. He was even bigger than Jathira, covered in scars and clearly unhappy about having to train a human. We will start simple, he growled. Try to hit me once, Jake tried. He failed. He tried again. Failed again. For 2 hours he threw everything he had at Korval and did not land a single blow. The Viralkan warrior barely moved, just swatting Jake away like an annoying insect. But Jake did not give up. Marcus Hayes never thought his medical degree from Earth would make him famous across the galaxy. He was just a regular doctor who wanted to help people. But things changed when he arrived at the Celestial Harmony Medical Station. The station was huge. It was a giant rotating cylinder floating in space, 3 miles long and home to 40,000 aliens from 200 different species. Marcus had arrived 6 months ago as part of Earth's program to share medical knowledge with other worlds. He was excited but also nervous. Humans were new to space travel, and most aliens thought Earth people were strange. His boss was an alien named Velmora. She was a Thaxian, which meant she had 4 arms and could do surgery with amazing precision. Her people were famous doctors across the galaxy. When Marcus first met her, she made it clear that she did not expect much from him. After all, humans had only learned to travel faster than light 30 years ago. They were babies compared to species that had been exploring space for thousands of years. Marcus tried his best to learn. He watched the alien doctors work. He studied their techniques. He asked questions. Some of the aliens were kind and patient with him. Others treated him like he was stupid. Marcus kept working hard anyway. That was what humans did. They did not give up easily. Everything changed on a cold Tuesday morning when the alarms went off in the medical bay. A Krillian diplomat had been hurt in an accident on his ship. The Krillians were massive creatures made of living crystal. They stood 12 feet tall and weighed over 800 pounds. Ambassador Krethnal had a huge crack in his chest area, and the delicate crystal organs inside his body were failing. Velmora and her team rushed to help. Marcus watched from the observation gallery where junior doctors learned by watching. He saw them work for 6 hours straight, trying everything they knew. But nothing worked. The ambassador was getting worse, not better. The problem was simple but terrible. Every time the doctors tried to fix a crack, their tools caused more cracks to form. The Krillian body was too fragile. It was like trying to fix broken glass with a hammer. The more they tried to help, the more damage they caused. Marcus heard Velmora tell her team that Ambassador Krethnal would die within an hour. There was nothing more they could do. The other doctors looked sad and defeated. They had tried their best, but sometimes in medicine, your best is not enough. But Marcus saw something that the others did not see. The way the cracks were spreading through the ambassador's crystal body reminded him of something from Earth. During his medical training in Colorado, he had treated mountain climbers who got sick from altitude and cold. He had seen what happened when ice formed in human tissue and how the damage spread. Marcus made a decision. He left the observation gallery and walked down to the surgery floor. His heart was beating fast. He knew he might make Velmora angry, but he had to try. Velmora saw him, and her translator device made her musical language sound flat and annoyed in English. She told him that junior doctors were not allowed in the surgery area during critical procedures. Marcus took a deep breath and spoke. He said he had an idea that might save the ambassador's life. Velmora's sensory stalks quivered. Marcus had learned this meant she was irritated. She asked him what a human could possibly know about crystal biology. His species had never even seen a Krillian before joining the galactic community. Marcus explained his idea quickly. He said they were looking at the problem wrong. They were trying to repair the cracks immediately, but that was causing stress and making new cracks form. On Earth, when doctors dealt with certain types of ice damage and frozen tissue, they learned that you had to stabilize the temperature first before trying to repair anything. He suggested using a cooling field around the damaged areas while using a flexible support material to hold the crystal structure together. If they could stop the cracks from spreading, the ambassador's body might heal itself naturally. Krillians could regenerate their crystal structure, but only if the damage stopped getting worse. Velmora was quiet for a long moment. Marcus could see her thinking. Finally, she gestured to her team with her 4 arms. She said they had nothing to lose. The ambassador was dying anyway. They would try the human doctor's idea. The next 3 hours were the most intense of Marcus's life. He worked next to the Thaxian surgical team. His hands were steadier than they had ever been. The polymer compound he suggested, which was originally made for fixing broken human bones, worked perfectly to support the crystal structure. The cooling field stopped the cracks from spreading. Slowly, very slowly, Ambassador Krethnal's vital signs improved. The crystal matrices inside his body stopped breaking apart. They began to regenerate. The ambassador would live. When the surgery was finally over, Marcus felt like he might collapse from exhaustion. His hands were shaking. His back hurt from standing so long, but he felt amazing. They had saved a life that everyone thought was lost. Velmora approached him as they were cleaning up. She moved her 4 arms in a gesture that Marcus had learned meant respect among her people. She said she owed him an apology. She had underestimated humans and their abilities. Marcus smiled. He was too tired to say much. He just said that humans were good at adapting. Earth had taught them that. When you grow up on a dangerous planet, you learn to find creative solutions to problems. Villamora said something that Marcus would never forget. She called it a Death Worlder's perspective. She said that maybe galactic medicine needed exactly that kind of thinking. Marcus did not understand what she meant at the time. He just thought he had gotten lucky with one good idea. He had no clue that word of what he did would spread through the station like wildfire. Within days, everyone knew about the human doctor who saved a Krillian diplomat using ideas from Earth. Aliens who had ignored Marcus before now stopped to talk to him in the hallways. Junior doctors asked him questions about human medicine. Even the station commander sent him a message of congratulations. Ambassador Krethnall recovered fully over the next few weeks. Before he left the station to return to his diplomatic duties, he came to thank Marcus personally. The massive crystal being stood in Marcus's small office, barely fitting through the door. Through his translator, he said that Marcus had given him a second chance at life. He said he would never forget the human doctor's kindness and cleverness. Marcus felt embarrassed by all the attention. He was just doing his job, but deep inside he felt something else too. He felt like maybe he belonged here after all. Maybe being from Earth, from a planet that most aliens considered too dangerous to visit, was not a weakness. Maybe it was a strength. He looked out the window of his quarters that night at the stars beyond the station. Somewhere out there were billions of beings living on thousands of worlds, and now at least a few of them knew that humans had something valuable to offer. Marcus Hayes did not know it yet, but his legend was just beginning to grow. The story of the Death Worlder doctor who saw solutions where others saw only impossibilities would spread far beyond the celestial harmony. But that was for the future. For now, Marcus was just happy that he had saved one life. And in the end, that was what being a doctor was all about.